Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Conspiracy Conference, and our next speaker is Dr. William Deagle. All right. Excellent. A little bit about Dr. Deagle. In addition to being a civilian contract physician for many secret government projects, Dr. Bill is a physician with 30 years of practice in a wide variety of medical practices, most significantly in safe alternatives. He weekly hosts 2 health-related radio programs, and he is against fluoridation, vaccinations, GMOs, and not-so-depleted uranium. He gave assistance after the Oklahoma City bombing, and he has first-hand evidence of controlled demolitions on 9/11. Dr. Bill is supremely aware of the real powers behind random events of terror and the coming register federal identification, tracking, and control of all citizens. His lecture is Approaching the End of the Age of Transformation, Nexus of Man. Dr. Bill takes a spiritual approach to all things and promises a transformational presentation. He will cover everything from global depopulation, microchipping, and mind control to the Oklahoma City bombing, the 9/11, and the influence of forces operating underneath the surface of the planet and our off-world. He will offer a variety of solutions along with sharing very thoughtful concepts to help guide humanity toward a path that will aid in avoiding the planned destruction of our planet and moving us closer to the source. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Deagle.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming. Now, after you hear today, and it's not just knowledge we're going to give you spirit, knowledge, and wisdom. You have the candle lit, and it's now your job to pass it to the next one. Because you're going to hear things today in this lecture you may have never heard before and most likely haven't, and all put together that's going to explain everything from 9/11, the UFO phenomena, the spiritual issues, in a way that you've never heard before, okay? So you may want to pay attention. If you have friends, get the DVD to make certain that they get a chance to look at this and really evaluate why these issues are all connected. The first thing that you have to understand is the origin of why we're in such a state is very fundamentally a spiritual issue. In the Victorian era, it was very common as a parlor game 100 and some years ago for the rich and wealthy of England to take their guests out to their gardens, and they would have mazes made of hedges, and they would take the guests blindfolded to the center of one of their little mazes, and they would then have to call them out of the maze. And after they finished the little maze and they felt they were very proud of themselves, they would then take the guests to a large maze, a maze that you couldn't possibly get out, no matter how difficult, unless you had someone on the other side to call you out. Well, today, I'm going to call you out of the big maze. Because a lot of people dispute and think that the UFO phenomenon isn't real, 9/11 was not an inside job, the government doesn't really want to collaborate with corporatists that are Satanists to kill you. And they don't understand the real issues and how late the hour is. We are not 5 minutes to midnight, we're 2 seconds in the atomic clock. So I'm going to start. The first thing is you have to understand the nature of what we are as a being and the nature of our universe, or everything in this conference will just lead you into another state of Babylon or confusion. Or just you'll have more questions at the end of the conference than you had when you came in the first place. Even though you think you know more, you won't have necessarily more wisdom. Well, I'm hopefully going to give you spirit knowledge that will give you a transformation so you understand why we're at where we are, why our political system is so corrupt, why the medical system is run by Dr. Mengeles, why they're ready to weaponize the food, why our troops are coming back with not-so-depleted uranium and vaccine schedules that are killing them, why we're willing to start a nuclear war and hit the Bashir reactor with 62 tons of U-235 that will, in estimates, kill at least 1 million immediately Iranians and irradiate up to 2 billion people downwind with the monsoon rains. The first issue is the issue of being. What are we? What is man? Just if you go back to the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible, in the Old Testament. What is man? I'm going to tell you what you are. And if you don't have these fundamental issues, and if you don't understand the nature of our God, who is the great I am, as Moses said when he was told by God, who shall I say sent me? And he says, I am who am sent you. And you have to understand that. The great I am is the spirit, the spark that's in you and me and every little child in Iraq that has a birth defect and every soldier coming back with depleted uranium in their urine and every person that we plan to plot and kill, not just by our actions but by our omissions of not standing against this evil cabal that has taken and killed not only 3,000 citizens of 82 countries of 9/11. Oklahoma City was not properly investigated, so we had 9/11. And now because 9/11, as we approach now this anniversary, we are facing a probable false flag of multiple city cores blown up with large-scale nukes and hundreds of thousands, if not millions, dead, and every burn unit in the Western world filled. In the very near future, if we don't stand up. We don't even know how many things have been stopped because we have woken up to this extent. But we have to wake up now. The first thing we have to understand is the nature of what we are. And I hear all kinds of different diverging viewpoints. There really are only two perspectives in the universe. The first perspective is the relationship with the Spirit that created us. And the other is to not. And the definition of evil is to do what is right in your own eyes, i.e., the super brain, the super scientist with literally limitless knowledge but no spirit. That is the distilled essence of Satanism. And what we're entering is literally a world that is the distillation in a technical world, the fusion of mankind and technology, just like Ray Kurzweil talks about the singularity. We have a choice. As Yeshua HaMashiach said, we can have our hearts of stone, which are laws and the matrix, and the ultimate is the mark of the beast and the chip, which is coming, or to have the commandments written into our DNA or religion. There's a difference. Most people don't understand who Yeshua was and why the message is by many great spiritual leaders, not only from the Judeo-Christian, but in the world, every single great leader has had their message perverted. Now, if you don't understand this, you want to understand the ET phenomena, you want to understand why the world is run by globalists, Satanists, you want to understand the underground bases, you want to understand the off-world projects, you want to understand the abductions, you will not understand anything if you do not connect all these dots. You turn it up and then there you go. I hope that's not too loud. Maybe this mic needs to be turned off because it's getting feedback. It is off, good, okay. The first thing is you have to understand that there are three heavens. And if you look at the presentation, it was absolutely stunning of Eric Phelps. And he showed the Pope with the Triple Crown. You have to understand, if you want to know, and I'm going to tell you information, by the way, that you won't hear from even some of the highest Masons. That Triple Crown stands for the three heavens. If you talk to people who are real Satanists, they consider this plane of existence as hell. Did you know that? Did you know that Talmudic Jews, I'm not talking about Torah Jews, the high-level Talmudic Jews believe that they are the 144,000. They're literally the representation of God in this world, and they can create chaos and order to be the rulers of this world. And it has the Jewish name stamped on it, but in fact it has nothing to do with Judaism. Nothing. Just like Yeshua said, they are the synagogue of Satan. And the reason why they go specifically after the Jews is very, very interesting. And even you grasp this, you understand that no matter what religious background you come from, when you understand this, you can see through what the message was that was recorded by Moses going back from Adam, was fulfilled in Yeshua as Emmanuel. And what that name means, a man who has the full knowledge of the Creator God. Now people need to know, why is this tied with UFOs and so on? Well, you'll understand. When you understand things like Ezekiel's visions and other things that have happened, all creation has three levels. Eternity has no past, no present, and no future. It is always now. Okay? And the second realm is the astral realm. We might call it the realm of the mind. And there are higher and lower levels within that. And it's not bound in time and space. And the bottom realm is the energetic realm, the realm that we live in, with the realm of the physical universe. Okay? And everything is basically vibration. And the best way to describe it is vibration is voice. So I call the nature of the creator of the universe is the one I voice. Instead of the universe, you have to understand that if you're not connected to the creator, you're not capable of doing good. And any civilization, no matter how advanced it gets, technology and knowledge will be its downfall and destruction if it is not more spiritual than it is technically advanced. And our society, our spiritual microbes, even with all our religions, because we can think it's acceptable to kill people because they're a different religion, skin color, or language, or that we can decimate ecological systems with gay abandon and destroy the living earth, which is the womb of the spirit children, that's us, of the creator of the universe. There's a reason why we have all these ET visits, and I'm going to explain it. And when you understand this, you'll see why what Eric is talking about and what Richard Dolan and all the other speakers, and why it's so important, and why this moment in time is the most important moment for humanity. Earth is literally a womb, not just on a physical dimension, but on higher spiritual. And just explain to you what you are. Your mind is not your physical brain. I'm going to say this as a physician. Your mind is, in a sense, an astral being connected by what's called a cord of living waters, or in the Bible it calls it as a silver cord. It's connected to the basal nuclei. Now you wonder why all these drugs are coming out, like Prozac. I call it kill you jack. Okay? And these drugs that are called G proteins and halide drugs, like they have fluoride salts. Do you know how they got that information? The Gesellschaft and the Thule Society channeled transdimensional entities, by otherwise be called demons or ETs, and they received this information and they opened up what's called stargates to them. And when they do sacrifices like the Holocaust, they actually make sacrifice to the higher astral planes, and they actually open up and receive knowledge, power, technology, and the physical manifestation of these beings. They're here. And you have to understand that we're literally seeing the attack. Just think of an attack of a pregnant woman being attacked by a murderer or an abortionist. Okay? We're seeing an attempt to abort the living souls, the minds connected to the physical bodies of every individual on earth. There's never been more people alive at one time that are human beings than this moment in history. And you can see by the actions of the government, they're creating a famine, they're driving the price of oil, and with their attack on Iran, you will see $250 a barrel oil and $12 to $18 gasoline, no food on your shelves, martial law, 8 million Americans already on a rendition list to be taken away, 775,000 today on a red list for execution. And that includes people like myself, Eric Phelps, Alex Jones, and others are on a list to not have another day on this earth. But we're not afraid because, you see, fear is the elixir of victimization. They have to make sure that we feel fear so that we can become a victim. But if you don't accept the fear, people say to me, why are you walking around? How come all these things are happening? We talked today with the presentation yesterday of Jim Fetzer. Well, I can tell you in scientific and accurate terms, there were 30 anomalies when I presented a year ago. There are now 36, and I've had another independent nuclear physicist review my data. My scientist, Dr. Asaf Jarakovic, who was quoted earlier by Joyce, is a nuclear scientist that I've been working with the last few years, and his colleague, Dr. Yamamoto, a radiochemist in Osaka. They were threatened that their entire families will be wiped out if they do further testing with Dr. Bill Deagle on the World Trade Center debris. I have absolute, incontrovertible radiological proof that they used micronukes in the World Trade Center complex along with thermate and other high explosives. It was the Mona Lisa of building demolitions. There was 5,000 tons of depleted uranium, of asbestos in each building. There was over 10,000 tons in both buildings of oil, we call it, around all their